So what is it that they're screaming during a board meeting? They're screaming during a staff meeting. What's going on that you're starting to go, okay, I'm seeing this?
Yeah, I mean they're negative, they're reactive, they're not coaching and developing their teams. They're not having one-on-ones. Their team meetings are more of a, hey, let me preach to you instead of let's work together. It's more of a top-down approach. You can see it in every single interaction. It doesn't even have to be that they're yelling or screaming. It can be that literally just how they're operating day to day, that there is a clear missing piece to it.
So you worked in corporate for a very long time, and then all of a sudden you decided now's the time to become executive coach. That didn't just happen overnight, right? How'd that work out for you? What was that story?
I experienced loss. I lost my sister very, very unexpectedly. And having a coach really showed me that it was different. It was, no, don't just do that. Like, who are you as your highest and best? How are you going to continue to show up as your highest and best for your team? And really peeling back those layers. And then on top of it, it really started me looking outwards and saying, who do I want to be in my career? Who do I want to show up as? What does this next chapter look like? So it started really changing my perspective and really starting to define what was next for me in my career.
Welcome to I'm Up, He Sees Me, I'm Down, the show where we explore the real stories of resilience, faith, and leadership from the battlefield to the boardroom and beyond. This show is proudly sponsored by Project Icon, helping leaders rise with purpose and integrity. I'm your host, Mike Turner, and I'm honored to have you with us today. Let's dive into the conversation.
Here we go. Here we go. Motivated. 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 Shoot shot. Shoot shot.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of I'm Up, He Sees Me, I'm Down. Today's guest, Michelle Cox, is an executive leadership coach and founder of High Performance Coaching firm based in Milwaukee. With over 20 years of corporate experience, including senior leadership roles at U.S. Sailor, Michelle now helps executives and entrepreneurs elevate their leadership, sharpen their focus, and achieve meaningful results. How you doing, Michelle? Well, thank you for joining us today. I'm going to open this up a little bit because I'm super excited to hear from you and kind of break down a little bit of what brings you in today and help us kind of walk through this. One of the big things that I started to read your bio and I was really looking at who is Michelle Cox, I was really starting to understand that you come from a rich background. Okay. And one of the things that I found to be true was just your understanding of leadership. So explain to me a little bit about what that means when we talk about leadership and Michelle Cox.
Gosh, I was really blessed. I worked for an organization that really believed in leadership development, and they really spent a lot of time, energy, focus, and they had a true business model that showcased really, if you focus on the leaders will focus on employees, they'll focus on customers that will produce results. And I was very blessed in working through that. And it really showcased when you focus and you train and you coach leadership, and then they take that training, that coaching, they bring it down, it shows that it truly impacts the customer experience and the business results. And so leadership for me is, who am I modeling for my team? Who am I showing up as for my team? And so they're able to continue growing, continue developing, continuing to go on their leadership journey or whatever their journey is, even if they're not looking to become a leader. So leadership to me is like intertwined with who I am and my being.
Okay. Love it. I love it. So, it's about showing up for your team, right? In a lot of ways, like I love that. I resonated with that when I was in the Marines. I resonate with that when I was working in corporate. I was like, I got up every morning to say, hey, I'm here for my team. Like I want to be at the office for my team. I love that. And a lot of leaders don't think like that. Believe it or not, they think in other terms. You want to elaborate on what you think that kind of stems from?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of things that it stems from. I think number one is leaders. Sometimes it's hard for me to call people that don't really focus on the team and don't show up for their team. And that's really what their main outcome is, or the thing that they're going for, to call them leaders. At the end of the day, I think that there's a few things that get in the way. Number one is ego. When you start like really looking at it from a place of I instead of we, or instead of looking at, my team is the reason why I am in the position that I'm in. My team is the ones that are driving. They are the ones that are connecting and doing the work. I might be driving strategy, but my team is really the core
They're
and
the
the
trenches.
heart.
Yeah, they're the ones doing
Absolutely.
it.
Yes. And so when you can take that and truly believe in that, that's what makes you a leader. Because people, when you're going in there and you're supporting them and you're saying, I'm going to stand behind you, even if you screw up, I'm here for you and we're going to learn from it and I'm going to coach you to it. It is a whole different message than you screwed up and it's your fault.
Right. Yeah. So many times I've seen, I'll just say managers. I won't even say leaders, right? I want to distinguish
Yes.
because there's a big difference. I've seen managers correct people on the spot in front of people, not taking the extra, hey, I know we got something wrong here, but I'm going to take you behind closed door. We're going to have a talk. It's going to be respectful. They just blurt it out because they lack leadership skills, right? So I can see that
100%.
every day. So let's talk about that a little bit. So when you come into an organization and you're starting to help figure out what's going on with that organization and where you can actually add value and basically help get right the ship in a lot of ways, what is kind of your philosophy, and what do you looking at, and what are you doing when you're there just hitting the ground?
Yeah, the first thing is I'm looking at who the leader is showing up as. Are they showing up as their highest and best self? Are they really operating from their survival mechanism? And really their survival mechanism really looks like they're fearful, they're scared, they don't know what to do, and or they don't see possibility, and or they want to stay in their comfort zone. I'm looking at who that leader is as a human being before I'm looking at the skills, because truly it just starts with, okay, how am I showing up? Am I showing up as leader, or am I showing up just to survive because I don't know what I'm doing and I'm scared?
And that doesn't really just come out, right? I mean, people see it, but they don't. It's not. We're not putting a name to it or anything. So what is it that they're screaming during a board meeting? They're screaming during a staff meeting. What's going on that you're starting to go, okay, I'm seeing this?
Yeah, I mean they're negative, they're reactive, they're not coaching and developing their teams. They're not having one-on-ones. Their team meetings are more of a, hey, let me preach to you, instead of let's work together. It's more of a top-down approach. You can see it in every single interaction. It doesn't even have to be that they're yelling or screaming. It can be that literally just how they're operating day to day, that there is a clear missing piece to it. And it could be that, I mean, it can be that, yes, they're yelling, they're screaming, they're doing all of those things. They're not listening. That's another key piece. There's no humility.
They don't accept. Do they accept any responsibility or? Yeah, that's another one, right? So they're gonna look every other direction. They think by standing in the front of the room and that they're showing that, hey, I'm taking ownership, but in their mind they're really not taking, and their actions are showing I'm not taking ownership. I'm
Correct.
pushing ownership. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And so you start to see that, and then now you're like, okay, we gotta fix this leader. And is it top down? Is it always the CEO, or where do you normally see that kind of?
I mean, if we're being honest, I mean, it starts
honest.
with, I'm like, if we're being honest, it starts with the C-suite. It starts with the CEO, because it really looks like, to me, when there is fundamental systematic breaks in leaders, I really start looking upwards and saying, how are the rest of the C-suite showing up? Are they showing up? Are they coaching, developing? Are they doing the things? And are these, the next layer down, just modeling the same thing?
Wow. Yeah.
They're learning
No,
their behaviors.
right. Yeah. They're just following they're following suit. They're literally following suit. Yeah, I love that.
Oh, literally, they are. They're like, oh, I saw this person do it, so I'm just doing the same thing. If they're walking into a one-on-one and they're just getting like creamed, and just saying, I'm getting yelled at, I'm getting all these different things, then what do you think they're taking back and doing to their team? It's the same
Yeah.
thing.
Right. Yeah. And so if you're an employee or staff and you're hearing it come down at you, just know that they're reciprocating what's already going from the top down typically. Now, there are times when it's middle management or there's some breakage there, but that you have to probably focus more on. But again, whose it falls, shoulders does it fall on?
Yeah, it's interesting because I would say 9 out of 10 times I see it at the next level leader. So there are those one-offs that happen where it's just something that they've become accustomed to, or they worked at another organization, they brought it to a new organization. So there are those times, but 9 times out of 10, it's really looking at that top layer.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. So all of our executive leaders out there, go ahead and grab a mirror, take a big hard look. Are you catching any of these things? Are they resonating with you? Any of these tips, or is it just going off your back and you're like, oh, that's not me? Well, if they're listening to my podcast, they're probably the better leader anyways, because it's all about leadership and making yourself better anyways.
I would agree with that. I would agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing is I wanted to kind of break into is, so you worked in corporate for a very long time, and then all of a sudden you decided now's the time to become executive coach. That didn't just happen overnight, right? How'd that work out for you? What was that story?
Yeah, my company, they did a beautiful job, as I said earlier, of really providing training and doing those things. And the CEO retired, and there was new CEOs that came in afterwards, and slowly but surely leadership development took its course and they stopped putting the focus there. However, I knew the importance. I was continuing to read. It came a point where I was like, oh, I want to go out and continue to grow my leadership. And I found an executive leadership and coaching program that was a year long. And I was 3 months into that journey, and I had my own coach, and I experienced loss. I lost my sister very, very unexpectedly.
I'm so sorry for that.
Thank you. And what would have been predictable is me to dive into work and ignore.
double down on it and pretend like you're okay. That's what we're told to do.
Yes, 100%. And having a coach really showed me that it was different. It was, no, don't just do that. Like, who are you as your highest and best? How are you going to continue to show up as your highest and best for your team? And really peeling back those layers. And then on top of it, it really started me looking outwards and saying, who do I want to be in my career? Who do I want to show up as? What does this next chapter look like? So it started really changing my perspective and really starting to define what was next for me in my career. And that's really the shift that occurred. And not only did I experience coaching myself through that process, but it also really started shifting my perspective of, wow, the power of that you can really instill in coaching.
Well, and you say that beautifully, because I think a lot of us, we don't really know what that looks like, but we know when we're touched by it. Like when we see something that happens to us, loss, just anything in our life, and then someone steps up and starts walking with us. Unbelievable. It's amazing. It really is, because then you feel like you kind of get reinstill a little bit of the human in people, right?
Very much. And, it helped me show up as a human.
Yeah.
My team didn't expect me to be perfect, and allowed me to be vulnerable and really say, I'm sorry. I know I'm not showing up. I know in this moment, if I was having a bad day, I could preempt and state what was happening versus just ignoring it and just showing up crappy in that moment, for lack of a better way to say it.
No, yeah, and they gave you space, which is what I'm hearing, which is awesome too. And again, they're reciprocating the type of leader you were, and they were leading also in a way when you needed that leadership, reciprocated.
Yes, 100%, 100%.
So let's break down your program a little bit. So what's your ideal client, or if you were looking for somebody to help and you could really instill your skills there, what does that look like as far as your program and what you bring to the table?
Yeah, I really look at it like from a perspective that I typically have three different reasons why leaders hire me, executives hire me. One is they're looking to move to the next level and everybody's telling them, oh, you're doing great, but they're not going anywhere. So there's something missing. Nobody's,
Right.
and I've learned the higher you go, the quieter it gets. And you don't get the feedback necessarily that you need to be successful. So that's one reason. The second reason is if you've reached that executive level and you're like, is this what I want to do? Or do I want to do something else? You start questioning what your journey is from your life. And so you need some support and some clarity for it. And the third is pure leadership development and really looking at, I'm working 70, 80 hours a week. What worked for me before is no longer working for me. I need support. And I give that context so people can understand the different frameworks that people come in as. But so when I'm looking at an executive, I'm looking, do you fit into one of the different, not every executive does, but I can say that 90% of the people I'm working with fit into one of those different frameworks. Yeah. And so I really look at what is the thing missing for you? And is there a possibility through how I work with my clients to be able to help you? I will be the first to say, I'm not the right person for you. Or I am.
Yeah.
Or let me refer you to somebody else because I'm not scared to do that.
See, and that you just took the ego right out, right? Again, good leader took the ego away, said, hey, I'm not a perfect fit for everybody. I love that. That's really great. That humility, that just understanding going, hey, and that's what makes you such a great executive coach. That makes you a great coach in general to go in and say that, to them right up front. Like, and obviously it probably takes a session or two to really figure that out, but
yeah, I mean, I will say, like, typically I'll know within the first couple times that I'm in a conversation to say, if this is what you're after, you really need to be looking at hiring. If you're looking for someone to find a job for you, that's not coaching. That's an executive recruiter. Let me get you into an executive recruiter. Or if you're looking for somebody to fix, like to do a quick fix, that's also not going to be how I coach. So you can go find somebody that'll do just one-off sessions. That's just not my style.
Yeah. But then when you do find that right client, the results are in the pudding, they say, right? So what is a typical client can expect to see? I mean, what's that look like in that rigor?
Yeah, it really looks different for each client because their goals are different. And I tailor how I work with them based upon their goals. But I will say, typically walking out of the time I'm working with them, either they're getting promoted, which is fantastic. They're making more money. They're really saying, I have integrated my personal life and my professional life. So they have experienced and when I truly mean that, where they're saying, my life is better because of this work. Not just my career is better, it's my life is better. And that's really what I look for, is not just to say, well, we're just going to work on your career. We're going to look at how everything integrates together. And so that's one of the things that I can say that my clients will walk away with. And then finally, it's not working as hard. And like, how can you work smarter?
Yeah.
And not harder? How can you empower your team? How can you teach them so they're moving to the next level and you're getting time back? There's so many different fun places to play in this, but all of these different things are things that my clients can walk away with. And the last thing is that they're getting tools, resources throughout the entire journey of working together. And they're getting all of that. Then they can take and use that with their team.
Oh, that's awesome. So they can start building some of that with their team, build those systems in place. So many times you get into corporate and at the top level, they have a vision, they have a mission, they have all those things, but it doesn't drive home the same way as when you start working hand in hand with employees and stuff and you go, hey, let's work on whatever, we're going to use this system to do it. Love that. So I speak a lot of times on my podcast about, like, for me, when I was in corporate, I would instill the peace index. And so a lot of my uh, fellow podcasters and stuff, they go, oh, I love that peace index idea. So, really to me, it's just a simple little gesture of changing. Instead of asking your team, how are you doing? You ask them, what is your peace index, right? Like literally asking them their peace index. It's kind of like 3 facets or 4. It's basically, what is your finance look like? What is your home life look like? What is your corporate life? What does your health look like? Now, sum all those together. Let's figure out from a scale of 1 to 10 what those are each individually, average them, and then tell me now what your peace index is. And a lot of times I'll be like, is your peace index a 7 or above? Great. If it's lower than a 7, you got a problem, and I'm going to take you aside and I want to have a conversation. I want to literally understand why your peace index is so low. A lot of times it's like, it's probably nothing to do with their career or anything. A lot of times it's their health, but you would never get that out of somebody if you just said, hey, how are you doing?
Couldn't agree with you more. I love that, especially because you, and sorry not to fill off of that, but it's your answer when people say, how are you doing? It's a close-ended. I'm good.
It is. Yeah. And I think like in a lot of ways, you want to give them an opportunity. They want to tell you anyways. If you're a good leader, they're just going to come to you. You don't have to use a peace index, but some people are just built differently. We're all built a little differently. And that's just an opportunity to open up the door and just say, hey, tell me, I'm listening. I'm ready to hear you. What's going on? I'm not just asking you how you doing. So I'm not expecting just I'm great. I'm good.
Yeah.
With a frown or however that looks. Yeah. So I always try to leave, I think my podcast, my audience will probably get tired of hearing that, but I think it's so important to say, because it's such an easy tip for leaders to take with them.
I'm going to beg, borrow, and steal. They say the best leaders do it. I'm going to take it as a framework.
Yeah, love it. So I want to leave you a little bit of time here, Michelle. Kind of let me know if the audience hasn't heard everything about Michelle. What are something that we might have missed in this podcast? It's a short podcast, but I always like to give you an intro, and then we always can come back with another session. But I really want to open it up to you and just give you an opportunity to speak into your program, speak into anything that we might have missed.
Yeah, I think that, ultimately for me, it's not just about everything, because I made it very warm and fluffy in some senses, and it is. But at the same token, I'm very big on saying, how are we going to measure this? What's the plan? How do we make this actionable? So it's not just we're going to just talk on a weekly basis. No, we're not. We're going to do the work.
I love that.
You're actually going to do work. You're going to leave each call. You're going to have quote unquote homework, and there's going to be actions to take. There's going to be practices to build. There's going to be muscles to build. And so it's not just this talk therapy. It really is an actionable program when I'm working with clients. The other piece is we use data. I'm a big, I want to use data to be able to understand where's the baseline. So I have a proprietary 360 assessment that I do with leaders to really go out and look at leadership competencies. And so we're able to say, what's the baseline? Like, where are we at today? So we're not spending a ton of time working in areas that you think you're not strong in, when reality is everybody else thinks you're a rock star. Let's focus on the areas that you really need or that your blind spots are, so we can continue to build that and move forward and create the actionable plan with it. And I think that's important to know throughout it, is those are 2 core pieces of how I work with my clients, amongst many others, but those are good.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that's important, because if anybody's taking anything away from this, is that if you're going to be reaching out to Michelle and trying to get on her schedule and get that going, that be prepared to do the work, right? Be prepared to do the work, because I think that's important. And, that also says something about you too, is that you're looking for results, right? You're after the results. And I love that. I love that about you. How can we find you? Where's the best way to reach you?
My website is always the best place, www.michellelcox.com, or LinkedIn. So if you look me up on LinkedIn, I do a ton of content out there. So if you're looking for inspiration, feel free to go out there and connect with me, or you can book a call. Either way.
Yeah. No, I love it. And I'll definitely connect with you. So I'll put you up
Wonderful.
for sure. Because I saw some of that on there on your website and I was like, oh, that's great. Because it feeds over from your LinkedIn to your
Yes,
website, which is great.
it does.
And I love that. So I was like, oh, that's a really nice little saying right there. So I'm like, if not anything else, I want to link on there just so I can get your sayings coming across my my storyboards or whatever. I love that. So it's michellelcox.com. So that's the best way.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Again, thank you for joining me. Loved having you on here, and I loved hearing your story and how you transitioned from corporate to be this awesome coach, which is great. And I loved having you on my podcast, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.